All-time great stand-ups, that is true. And the star of Weeds, whose 7th season debuts June 27th, Kevin Nealon is over here. There he is. Still taller than me after all these years.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
How are you?
All right, good. How are you,
How have
Bill?
you been enjoying the show so far?
You know what? I was reading a book backstage. I didn't quite catch it. No, I loved it. It's a great... I got to get the new Zagat book. They've really changed over the years.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, and we will. But first, I want to ask you about another comedian, because you are, like I said, a great comedian and another one of our friends.
One of the best comedians.
You are. You truly are. I would describe you as state-of-the-art. I watched your last stand-up special twice.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
First time I did not catch the jokes.
Why is it whenever a comic compliments you, there's always something that comes behind it?
You can never count on that.
Never.
But what about what happened to poor Tracy Morgan this week?
Well, I think he owes an apology.
If you don't know, I'm sorry, I should set this up and then I'll let you. Tracy Morgan got into big trouble because he said if my kid came in and told me he was gay, I would stab him.
Yeah.
And then he had to apologize and, you know, go with peace.
That's tough love.
He's a...
That's tough love right there. You don't want him coming home with a bad report card. He'll rip his legs off.
Yeah. But, I mean, you know, Tracy Morgan, come on. He is no one's idea of a role model. Right? I mean, his character is a moronic child man.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, I think that's just his style of comedy. You know, it's shock value, and obviously he owes an apology, I think, to a lot of the gay organizations. I think his character on 30 Rock should apologize to the characters on Glee and to Modern Family and to the L Word, and then I think we call it even right there.
But, I mean, to me, the bigger issue could perhaps be said that, you know, he was talking about child abuse, like so many black comedians do, and white comedians can't. Bill Cosby talked about it, Richard Pryor talked about it, Bernie Mac, you know, I'll whip you to, you know, the white meat shows. I mean, you can't say that as a white comedian. Go ahead, try.
Well, no, I have. Obviously, you didn't watch my special very close. But no, you can't. I think times have changed a lot, too. I mean, there's a lot more sensitivity now. I think people are coming across much more compassionate. And I think it's tough for some of the urban comics who are kind of edgy like that. Bill?
I like the way you use the word urban comic. You can call them black here on HBO.
No. They are urban. I'm talking about the urban comics. You call them black?
I do. I go right to black. I don't care who knows it, they're black.
I'm talking about the comics from the city, the urban comics. And you're talking about the black comics.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, let me talk about something that's, I know very close to your heart, because we share a love of animals.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. He mentioned PETA. He mispronounced it. Ray Kurzweil.
Yeah,
one of the most
you notice
brilliant...
the body language there with you and him with this? Are you doing this, too? When you got into that ethnic stuff, you notice how we pulled back?
First of all, body language has nothing to do with anything. I don't think that's true. I think people just find a comfortable range. Don't you think, Bill? No, I'm not even joking.
I do, Kevin. I think it's very important when But here's the thing. I was on Anderson Cooper's show on Tuesday.
I watched that. I thought he was very good.
All right, and wow, bigger applause than my own show. But I
always confuse you two. You and Anderson. I really do.
Now you owe me an apology. I like Anderson a lot, but he seemed to take exception when I said that, you know, Anthony Weiner has a big problem and he has no control over his appetites and his no discipline. But I remember when Dick Cheney was in office, he used to go hunting. And I said that once he shot like 70 pheasants in one day. Because they have these pens where they just drop them. They're basically throwing the animals in front of your gun.
Yeah.
To me, this is so much more psychotic than anything Anthony Weiner ever did. And and he do you remember that story? I mean,
I'm with you on that.
acted
But
like
who
I
had
was
more
making...
fun?
What?
Who had more fun? Cheney.
Yeah, right.
A lot more fun.
Yeah,
Weiner did.
but
Yeah.
Anderson Cooper acted like I was making it up, and I wasn't making it up.
Yeah.
No one can kill 70 fucking pheasants in one day unless they're stoned and right in front of you.
That is true. But he also shot somebody in the face, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
But, you know, I think a lot of these big Republican politicians like to show us that they're hunters so that they can protect our country during a war.
Right.
But I don't think we've ever been at war with pheasants before, have we? or animals of that nature.
I guess there's a difference between smashing Easter chicks in a box, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask
Cheney
you.
had a lot of deferments when it came to people.
Yes, 5 deferments, exactly.
Yeah, by the way, his
tough guy.
name's Cheney. It's not Cheney.
I know. You insist on that,
It's
Chris.
his name.
It's the one thing I wish you would drop.
No, I'm not going to drop it because it's his name. It's
But
Cheney.
no one will ever get on that page.
Well, I don't care. I'm alone. I love
know.
it.
All right.
It's Cheney. Call out Wyoming.
let me-
Call anybody in the Wyoming phone book and ask how to pronounce the guy's name. It's
Okay.
Cheney.
All right. I know. Everybody has their little thing.
Who has a Wyoming phone book?
Who still has a phone book?
Here it is.
Let me ask this of you and everybody here. Why did Anthony Weiner have a press conference again to announce that he was resigning? I mean,
Because
why-
it was his last show. It was like an open casket. Nobody wanted to see it. You know what I mean? And I think this is Anthony Weiner. This is where he started his career, at this particular location.
This,
and he
it was
wanted
an old
to,
folks' home, wasn't it?
That's what I'm saying. No, but I think it was in that area there, and he wanted to go back and talk to the people face to face, as opposed to iPhone.
But he'd already given us.
But that's his. I mean, that was always his thing, right? He was a. I mean, one of the reasons that supposedly that congressional Democrats didn't want to rally around him was that he was seen as a guy who was always on TV and maybe not as active, in the actual business of legislating. Now, I say this as he was on the show the last time I was on, so I'm not really, in a position to.
That's where I know you from. Okay. Yes. Okay. It was killing me. I was saying, who's this guy?
Look, there are a lot of showers back there, a lot of exercise equipment, Anthony,
Right.
we were doing reps.
I know. What is this?
The camera's right there on the
I
phone.
do not need a congressman to have his shit tight. What is this with the gym and the why is there even a free congressional gym for these guys?
And
Have you
what
seen
kind
some
a-
of the other guys?
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of them
the
don't
free
use it.
gym is actually a public service.
What kind of
That's the
equipment do they
creepy-
have there? I mean, what is the
They have a
most
great
popular machine? Is it the mirror? I mean, there's like a 20-minute wait for the mirror there.
All right. I want to ask this question. Since Anthony Weiner, and we heard this with Bill Clinton too, couldn't control his appetite. That's the one I heard a lot. He has a discipline problem. What about New Jersey, my home state, Governor Chris Christie? Show that picture of Chris Christie. I mean, he should be Governor Fatty. I mean, look at him. He's blocking out the whole front row of soldiers there. It's like a whole regiment you cannot see there. This guy is a sumo wrestler.
Well,
Why isn't that an issue with him, controlling your appetite?
I got an interesting argument, and maybe the audience can help us backstage about just this point, where I said, well, but look, there are a lot more, overweight Americans than there are Americans who have tweeted photos of their penis. And the person I was talking to said, are you sure about that? And they say, there are studies that say one in something or other. So I don't know.
But there's a difference between, tweeting pictures of your penis and him just not being able to control his weight. I mean, he never tweeted his penis.
Yeah.
He tried to, but got his belly.
Yeah, exactly. That's how come there are more people who are fat than more people that are tweeting.
He was tweeting to a girl. He said, "What are you eating?"
Bill, there was no cover up here. The
I always-
stomach's out there. They're not hiding anything.
Okay, I'm just saying that.
A lot more people identify with him. By the way, you're going to make tweeting a controlled substance.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do with it?
I'm just saying.
By the way, what did you do with people? What was his? I don't use the word perversion too lightly, but what was Weiner's problem before there was tweeting, Twitter? What in other words, did he have this condition before until the technology caught up with him?
He's the guy who keeps sending.
I mean, think
in
what,
the mail,
how do you go
right?
to
Picture
how do you go to
Okay.
rehab for something that didn't exist until doctors keeping up with this because there wasn't this stuff until this technology.
First of all,
Well-
it's not a condition.
And I don't think so either.
It's not a condition to be horny. You know what? I don't know how you treat this, or even if you should treat this. He's horny. You know what? As someone I'm 55 now. What are you?
I'm 43. Why is everything a joke to you? Why is everything a joke? I got to be honest with you. I think all men are built the same. I have a wandering eye, and I'm going to admit it. But luckily, my other eye is a lazy eye. So it's a push. They cancel each other out. The wandering eye's like, hey, baby, what do you say we go back to my place? And then the lazy eye comes around and goes, oh, this looks like a lot of work. Oh.
Oh, Kevin.
But I got to tell you something.
You with your jokes.
Phil, if I could have a minute. I always thought that, you know, I always thought that when somebody sent you a picture of a private part, there was usually a ransom involved. You know what I mean? I mean, if Weiner sent me a picture of his crotch, I would think right away, like, oh my God, they got my 4-year-old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Call the cops. Don't call the cops. Call the cops.
Oh, that joke works on so many levels.
It's not a joke.
No, I'm sure it isn't.
I think he could end up in the Smithsonian Institute at some point with that.
Like,
They may want that.
like John Dillinger.
Yeah,
isn't
Dillinger. We always heard it's not true apparently. The Dillinger story. We heard it in high school. It's not true.
That's a
I didn't-
Supposed to be in the
is that an urban myth?
Yeah,
It's a black. Oh, sorry.
No, it's
there's
not
like
urban.
an
It's urban. It's not black.
It's a black man.
Urban, not black. Yeah,
But
it
you
was
know,
at
I
the
think,
FBI building. They always said it was in the FBI building, but
People are going to
there.
real extremes, I think, with their sexual, you know.
I know.
You know what's becoming popular now and very scary. Bill, if I may, please. I don't come here that often.
No,
This thing with the rope around the neck. You know what I'm talking about.
oh, I do. I don't know how we got onto that, but I know what you're talking about.
No, we're talking about going to extremes.
Absolutely.
And it's
asphyxiation while masturbating.
autoerotica asphyxiation.
There you go.
And it's very dangerous and something you should have a spotter for. I think you're going to do. But how bored?
Like David
talking
Carradine
about,
does.
yeah. How bored are people where they have to resort to these things, whether it's the Twitter or that? Have they exhausted every other avenue? I mean, have they seen all the national parks?
Right.
Have they, you know, tried the latest ride at Six Flags? This autoerotica asphyxiation. Now, this is very dangerous. Like I said, I would never try it unless somebody broke into my house and they're strangling me anyway. Then I might give it a shot. No, because it's convenient. It's convenient. I'll give it a shot.
All right,
Sorry,
no, please. I
love this.
was going to talk about.
If I may, it's
Yeah.
really
I'd
great.
watch the
Yeah.
radio
Use that
show. I don't know.
sometime.
I was going to talk about the debt ceiling, but let's throw that out. Let's do that next week.
Talking about getting
there is something else I wanted to talk about, sorry, because it's not a giant story, but it is all over the internet, and I think it reveals a very disturbing trend in America, which is that people think that freedom and entitlement are the same thing. There was this young woman in Austin, Texas, who went to a movie theater and continued to text. Even though the theater said you cannot text while the movie's on, it disturbs people. Okay, she continued to do it. They threw her out of the theater. And she left a scathing message in her Valley Girl speak on their machine. And they use it now before every movie. So just played a little bit. We took a little bit of it to show you what she was talking about when she was so angry, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
So excuse me for using my phone in USA, United States of America, where you are free to text in a theater.
Well, she was texting with Anthony Weiner, right?
No.
I mean, so it's all okay.
No, but I'm sorry, but this does remind me a lot of what the teabaggers are always.
Oh, for God's
Oh,
sake.
come on.
Oh, come on. It's a tea party. Did that
Yes.
woman sound
Yes,
like a tea
because they're
partier
always
to
screaming
you?
about my freedom. You know, if we have the health care bill, it's inflicting on my freedom. Every law, excuse me, every law somehow curbs your freedom or puts a condition on your freedom. They don't seem to understand this very basic idea.
Yes, because never before.
No?
I mean,
I think you're
2
reaching, Bill.
I think you
you're
are
reaching a little bit.
2 years
the
ago,
Tea Party or to the that's like in Austin, Texas.
She's a
right?
dumbass version of it, but
I
they're.
think she's a Democrat. I'm just listening to the intonation.
If I may, Bill. I think that what my client is trying to say, these teabaggers that are texting in the movie are the very same people that are not defending Weiner for having his freedom to sex private parts. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
No, that's.